bosses who are forcing employees to return to office. This has become a hot topic on LinkedIn. I also have some controversial takes about this for people who are early in their career, so you definitely don't want to miss that. I came across this article on CNBC, and I thought about it'd be pretty cool to read this to see what everyone else feels about remote work, return to the office, how they feel about it. Is there a certain age of people who like going to the office, and isn't it? So let's see. Bosses think in-office work 3 times a week is the magical number. It's not. Corporate bosses are getting return to office requirements all wrong. Global work experts and remote leaders said during a panel conversation at the South by Southwest conference in Austin, Texas. A 3 days a week requirement has become the norm at many companies, but it's far from a best practice or grounded in good data, said Michael Bush, CEO of Great Place to Work, the global research and analytics firm that evaluates corporate culture. Why 3 days a week? Why not 4? Why not 2? He says. Many bosses land on 3 days a week as if it's the magical number. It's not. You should have a reason why 3 matters. You know what? That's actually a good question. If you was asking somebody why 3 days, they would not be able to tell you.
That's fact.
Every leader should listen better. Bush says many leaders mistakenly assume that being together in person automatically leads to better collaboration. There's no data to support it, because there was a lot of innovation with people not being together over the last 3 years.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna jump in real quick.
Go ahead.
So here's the thing, man. I'm gonna just drop this real quick. I think you and I are probably part of the same generation. We grew up playing video games. We grew up playing video games online specifically. We grew up, being part of guilds and being part of communities in a explicitly digital space. You got people who literally been playing video games with each other for years, right? Competitively, casually, whatever, right? They have some amazing communication. They have some amazing collaboration. And they're fully remote, right? Never met in person before in their life. Make it make sense. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Make it make sense.
Then there are leaders with control issues, Bush says. The one thing you don't do is say, I want everybody back because it makes me feel better. This is the big risk for hiring and retention, he adds. People who work for these types of leaders are updating their profiles on LinkedIn. Yes, they are. As far as best practices go, Bush says every leader should listen better and understand how teams work, best based on one-on-one conversations, surveys, focus groups, or 90-day trial runs. Sarah Fern, Chief People Officer at Velocity Global, says listening is the biggest challenge for remote leaders, and most importantly, understanding what you're not hearing. All right, let's check this one out. Let's see if this is going to be fluff or real. There are not good remote work policies in place. The haphazard state of today's flexible work environment is far from what the future of remote and hybrid work will look like, says Jessica Reeder, Director of Remote Organizational Effectiveness at Upwork. There are not good remote work policies in place. We're learning. This is something that's very new to most companies. She says working during the pandemic wasn't working remotely as much as it was working through a crisis in a remote setting. This is making it work because you have to, she explains, but the real long-term work of building out policies and practices that can actually keep people happy, keep them working at your company and not looking for another job, and keep them productive is a long process. I got the answer to that. I got the answer to the last part.
What your answer is, man? What you got?
It's a little bit of remote work, but if you want people to remain happy and stay, pay them accordingly every year. Inflation come, whatever stuff inflated by, raise their raises to that. At least they're not the deficit where they're going to go somewhere else just because they are making less money based on don't have as much purchasing power anymore. That's one easy, simple fix, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree with that.
One basic fix that companies still miss, Reader says, is setting up meetings with a remote first approach, where everyone dials into the same video conference line, including people who are in the office. A bigger challenge for CEOs and companies, Reader says, is listening and observing and understanding and being conscious of what's not working. That's the difficult part that many companies are in right now.
So Henri, I wanna step in and say something here. Let's have a moment. Audience, come to my office. Okay, this article makes some really good points, right? The problem is, I understand what they're trying to communicate, but they're missing the mark on one very important piece. They keep referring to these people as leaders. You know what a leader is? A leader is somebody who steps out in front, right? They chart the course. They're going ahead of everybody else. They're removing roadblocks. They're understanding what it takes to do whatever the activity is. And then they're helping guide the people who are coming in after them to be successful. That's what a leader is, right? These people that we're talking about in this article, the ones that are trying to force people back into work, the ones who don't understand and can't harness the benefits of remote work, the ones who can't seem to manage in a remote capacity, they're not leaders. They are managers. There's a difference. We got to start understanding that we have to start using our language more effectively. That's what I'm going to say about that.
I would agree to that. I would also believe that some managers want to be the leaders that kind of usher in, usher in the new change in the company. But company politics plays a big part in that. But I believe as a manager, you have some type of power to fight that. Like, for example, in my last role, they went from coming into office 2 days a week to early this year, they were trying to say, okay, now you got to come in 3 days. But there was no added benefit for you being there. They're not saying, oh, productivity is slipping, this is happening. No, it's simply because they wanted you to come in the office. They feel like they spent all this money on this nice campus. They want you to come there. I was like, no, I'm not. Because for one, when I come to the office, I don't really like it because everybody there is having meetings most of the day. So it's already loud and irritable. And my team is in another state. So it's just me. So what added benefit do I have if I want to learn something from a team member where I have to Skype them instead of like if they were actually there? Maybe I could see the benefit, but no, that's number 2. 3, it was gas coming from a different area, driving in just to go and then leaving at a certain time. So I won't be stuck in traffic the whole day. Just that's the thing too. The inconvenience of having us sometimes if you got kids or you don't, but then you have to be stuck in this traffic trying to get home and getting less time to be with the kids. You already probably angry that you've been in traffic for about an hour and a half just to get home.
Yeah.
That's not to mention what you have to do when it comes to going to work. So for me, time that they did that, man, I did this.
Okay. All right.
I did that, man. And I resigned that night. And put my 4 weeks in because I was like, no, I'm not really with this no more. I didn't learn anything. This role, and for the people that's listening, if you are in a role right now that you do not feel is going to take you to the next level in your career, get out. Find one that's going to help project you to that next role, because you don't want to just be in a role just because, and I don't even care, it could be paying you $500,000. It might be a role, but it might be a role that you could take that'll make you make more than $500,000. But now that you're stuck at $500,000, you maybe never eclipse that because you don't have the skills that you need to make more. And that's what people don't look into. They just look into the now. Because I had a conversation with a friend. He saw my latest I Quit video, and he was talking about for the salary that I was getting paid on that video. He was saying, oh, I would have did whatever they wanted me to do. I said, you probably would for a little while until you realize you were miserable. So that's the thing. Like the money, it's everyone on the bottom probably looking like, yeah, I would have stayed there and took that money. Yeah, but eventually you would have snapped. That's the reason why we see things that happen in people's personal lives. Not happy. Choose your happiness. We can't get everything, but at least you can pick where you want to work at. It's not like the NFL. They don't own you. Now, if you get a sign-on or something like that, you better negotiate with the new company to pay that money to them or whatever. If not, you're going to have to pay it back.